Okay. So we had looked into various training and development aspects, right? So we had seen various trainings which have been taken place in various companies. Okay. So I think I had stopped here, students. I had stopped here, learning and development.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So here, my dear students, when it comes to learning and development, okay. So we have seen how training is very important into various corporations. We have looked into Accenture, we have looked into IBM, okay. We have looked into Syndicate Bank and all those things. So how training is being imparted there, and how much of importance training is being given, right? So basically, when we speak about various other companies, okay, before going to learning and development, so FedEx Corporation, I hope you all know about FedEx Corporation, right? So what they do is they spend 4 to 6 weeks a year in compulsory training. So training is given the first priorities there, and they spend around dollar 155 million on training each year. Okay, so 1,523 man hours every year on training and development is being spent. Right. So basically, what they do is they encourage employees to pursue short-term courses as to acquire multi skills. Right. So in addition, the company has also tie up with Skillsoft. Okay. So they have a tie up with Skill Off. Okay, an email learning portal which offers nearly 800 short-term online courses to the employees. Right. So FedEx has a very clear strategy with respect to training and development. It believes that training in-house personnel is much more effective and economical than lateral hiring, right? So they always have in-house training, in-house trainers. Okay, and apart from that, if you could see the BPO companies in India all do have training, right? So Indian professionals basically are being benchmarked for as a position of trainer. Okay, into various markets such as Philippines, Middle East, Taiwan, Southeast Asian nations. Indian trainers are increasingly being wooed by overseas firms, okay, across the sectors, right? So BPOs, hospitality, healthcare sectors, financial services, all the sectors wherein these type of training is being conducted, Indian trainers are much more in demand. Okay, so Indian trainers are everywhere, right? So it may be imparting communication training for local BPOs, okay, or maybe any type of training. It may be for soft skills training for hotel staff, right? So Indian employees are being or Indian people are being hired as trainers, okay, throughout the world into various countries to for various skills, right? Basically because the competence level is high in Indian trainers, as well as the salary or the price being paid for that will be very low compared to various other countries, right? So that's the main reason why Indian trainers are being hired, it, comparable to the UK trainers. Okay, so UK trainers also have the huge talent pool, but basically the price they quote, or the salary which is being given for them is very high. So most of the countries they looking for Indian trainers, right? Then apart from that, if you could see LG Electronics, it has made it mandatory for the staff to do 2 modules a month. So each module has a test that has to be cleared. So they have it has made compulsory that every staff of LG Electronics have to go across 2 modules based on their specialization, based on the job which they have, and each module test will be conducted and they have to clear the test. So every 3 months a summary of all the tests is to be made, and prizes are doled out to encourage people to learn. Okay. So here, if you could see, my dear students, learning is given a lot of importance when it comes to any organization, right? So apart from that, we have seen Cisco, right? Cisco uses web-based training, okay, as an integral tool to make employees more productive because it is available anytime, anywhere. Okay, so they have their web-based training wherein they integrate a lot of tools to make employees more productive. Okay, GE again do believe in on-the-job training. Okay, approaches for training its employees. So it trains customer services operators on the job so that the benefit of listening, thinking, and responding occurs on the job, right? So GE answer center in Louisville, okay, is open 24 hours a day. So it employs 180 telephone representatives, 150 customer service representatives, 30 technicians, okay, and they handle 2 million calls from customers each year, okay. So that training is being given on the job itself of how to handle the customers, okay, how to speak with the customers, how to communicate with the customers, and how to answer the queries of the customers, right? And how to observe and understand the critics being made by the customers. So everything, entirely, the success of the organization entirely depends on the type of training which is being imparted to the employees in that particular organization, right? So here, in India also we have n number of companies which do give too much of importance for training, okay. So every company has its own budget which is being prepared for training separately, okay. So most of the budget goes in for training the employees, right? Okay. Ma'am, let me in. Okay. So I hope all are in right now. Okay. Can you see the presentation here? PPT is visible, students?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So here, my dear students, when we speak about training, training is very important aspects. Okay, I've given you all example of LG. I have given you an example of GE, Cisco. Okay, FedEx Corporation, IBM, Accenture. Okay, so all such type of companies, basically Google also. Okay, so every company gives a lot of importance for training and learning and development for the employees. Okay, now what exactly is this learning? Okay, learning is basically no uh, just an idea of learning environment is perfectly in tune with the organizational goals. So they create a learning environment, they give additional knowledge to the employees, okay. They see to it that their employees unlearn the old things and relearn the new things, okay. So learn, unlearn, relearn, that process is called as learning, okay. So here you are going to give additional knowledge, additional skills, additional ability to the employees to perform better in an organization, okay. So it is a continuous process, okay. And it nurtures the employees, okay, the employees career. That is basically what learning speaks about. So learning organizations, okay, we have a term called as learning organization. So many companies have converted themselves into knowledge organizations or learning organizations, right? So learning organization entirely depends on mastery of 5 dimensions. Now what are those dimensions? One is system thinking, personal mastery, mental modes, building shared vision, and team learning. Okay, yesterday I have taken all this, okay. And looked into the importance of learning also. So if you give too much of importance for learning in your organization, socialization process becomes very easy. Employee orientation and onboarding becomes very easy for an employee to get into the company, understand the procedures of the company, and perform well. Then employee development takes place, right? Because you are enhancing the career of the employees, okay. And then performance improvement takes place because you are giving new skills, abilities, and knowledge to the employees so that they can perform well in the organization. And employee engagement, obviously, when you are giving better career opportunities, better growth opportunities to the employees in your organization, they will be totally engaged in their work, okay. Yeah, giving the right skill, right knowledge, right ability for them to perform better in their job. So it becomes very easy for them to perform well, which motivates them and keeps them engaged in the organization. Ultimately, these all things increases the productivity of the organization and increases the profitability of the organization, okay. So we had come down to learning theories, okay. So first theory which we had taken here is andragogy, okay. So it is nothing but a process of helping adults to learn by engaging them in specific training activities like role play, simulation, etc. Okay. So here adult learning is entirely based on certain principles. Now what is that adult learning principles? First principle is prefer and is capable of self directed learning, okay. So the adult has to prefer learning, they have to be ready for learning, their mind should be ready for the learning, then only learning happens in a organization. Okay, and should be capable of self directed learning. Okay, so that is also very much required, and should have enough of life experiences with good resources of learning, right? And then learning needs linked with changing social rules, right? So the learning which they gain, okay, it should change their social roles. Okay, and inclined to apply his knowledge to solve his problems, they have to apply the knowledge, or else the knowledge whatever they have learned through that particular process becomes obsolete, right? So they have to apply the knowledge and wish to learn by internal rather than external factors. Okay, so these are the various and andragogy theories, right? Then you have action learning theories. Okay, so here action learning basically uses work on a real project. Okay, so this is a theory wherein people or employees learn by working on real projects or problems as a method to learn. Okay, so learning occurs from experience through reflections and actions. So they will be practically working on the project, practically working on solving the problem, and then learning happens basically through the experiences what they gain while working on the project or working on the problem. So it involves learning from actions which participants working in a small group are required to take either to complete their project or to solve the issues. Okay, then you have experiential learning. Okay, this is nothing but the premise of experiential learning is that individuals learn best by experience, right? So the learner is involved in a cyclical process of goal setting, planning, right from start, right from scrap till the end. Okay, the learner has to get involved. Okay, and he has to go in for goal setting, planning, making experiments, deciding, action followed by observation, reflection, and reviewing. Okay, so he has to experience everything right from scrap till the end. That is what we say experiential learning. Action learning is nothing but working on a project or a problem. Okay, so here trial and error methods will be taken place. Okay, and then you have project based learning. It is nothing but learning occurs through facing difficult and real problems. Okay, so learner have to make the choice on problem solving approach and then take the appropriate action. So these are the various theories of learning. And then you have self directed learning. It is nothing but individual participant who take the responsibility for their own learning by selecting, assessing, and managing their own specific learning needs. Okay, so they know what they want to learn, they know what they want to achieve, they know what their goals or objectives are, and they know how to direct themselves towards that particular learning. Okay, they are self motivated people. Okay, that is called as self directed learning. Then goal setting theory, it is nothing but hard goals lead to a higher level of task performance than the soft and easy goals. So you just set the hard goals. Okay, and then you go for training to actualize those hard goals, right? Then social cognitive theory, the theory underlines that social context provides a strong platform for learning, as people can learn by observing others. Okay, so this was what we say, by observing others. You just have a mental process, observe others, keep them, record everything in your mental process and start implementing that. So these are the various learning theories, right? And then moving on to design of training. So for design of training, you should have the attention, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. Okay, so here it is very very important when you are designing a training program. First thing you need to have is you have to have the attention of the trainees. Okay, so trainees attention is very very important. Okay, if the trainee attention is not there, your entire training goes for a toss. Okay, so trainee attention is very very important, and then you have to design according to the need of the trainee. Okay, you have to design the entire training program, and then finally you have to start developing various strategies for implementing the training program, and then go in for implementing the training program, and then finally evaluate the training program. So evaluation happens before the training, on while the training is going on, and after the training. Okay, so this is what we say design of the training program. Now training need assessment, this is the first step when it comes to any training. Okay, before conducting the training program, you have to assess the need for training. Okay, why it is required. Okay, so for that there are three things which you should do. One is analyze the organizational needs. Okay, analyze the needs of the organization. Okay, certain times if there is some new strategy being adopted by the organization, or certain times if they go for mergers, acquisitions, or if they go for any other transformation in the organization. So that time the need for training arises for the employees. Okay, so that's what we say organizational analysis. Then task analysis, depending on the process, certain times certain processes change. Okay, so when the process of doing the things or process of production changes, so that time you have to train your employees, so it is only related to the task. Then you have person analysis, right? Person analysis is understanding the shortcomings of a person, understanding the strengths of the person, and understanding the fit of that particular person for a particular job, understanding the gap where it is. Okay, and then filling that gap by providing training. Okay, so these are the various training need assessments which can be done within the organization. Once you assess the training needs, then you can plan for your training in your organization. That would be very much beneficial. Okay. Now moving on to methods of training, my dear students. Yesterday I have already, in the last class I have already explained different methods, that is on the job methods and off the job methods. Okay. So we had looked into on the job method, that is on specific job, experience, coaching, understudy, then position rotation, special projects, selective reading, apprentice, vestibule school, multiple management. Okay, as well as off the job, special courses and lectures, conferences, case studies, brainstorming, laboratory method, say that is simulation, role playing, gaming, sensitivity training. Okay, then electronic performance support system, tele training, video conferencing. Okay, HRIS, e-learning, mentoring, informal learning, distance and internet based learning. Okay, so these all things we have looked into in the last class. Okay, we have also seen the syndicate groups, programmed learning, business games, behavioral modeling. Okay, so these are the various methods of learning. Okay, and training. So e-learning also is one of the method of training. Basically it is done through CD-ROM. Okay, internet, intranet, wireless and mobiles. Okay, so here there are three varieties of e-learning. One is synchronized training, asynchronized training, and blended training. Okay, synchronized training is nothing but it works on a fixed time availability. So participants interact live with the instructor through the web. Now what we are doing is synchronized training, right? So there is a fixed time which is available. The trainer also is available, trainees also are available, and the trainees interact live with the instructor through the web. Okay. When we speak about asynchronized learning, it is nothing but it is very flexible. Trainee works on their own WBT at one's own pace. Okay, web-based training at one's own pace. So whenever they want, they watch the video, they learn at their own pace. Okay, there is no real-time interaction with the instructor. Okay, you cannot interact live with the instructor. Instructor will be putting forth the videos into the webs whatever are there, and then the trainees will be looking into those videos. Okay, that is asynchronized training. Then blended learning, it is nothing but it is combination of online learning and face-to-face interaction and other methods of distribution of learning content. Okay, so that's what we say blended learning. Now moving on to evaluation of training, my dear students. Now training needs to be evaluated. If there is no evaluation of training, then there is no point in having training or spending so much on training in your organization. So evaluation plays a very very important role when it comes to training. So evaluation speaks as a last step of training. Okay, so how you can see to it that you evaluate the training programs. Okay, so evaluation is nothing but the last stage of training and development process. So it evaluates the results. Okay, so since a huge sum of money are spent on training and development, how far the program has been useful must be judged and determined. So evaluation helps to determine the result of training and development programs. So in practice, however, the firm either overlooks or lacks facility for evaluation. So certain times evaluation may not be very very successful because the firm may overlook the evaluation. Okay, they may not find too much of time for evaluation, or the facilities for evaluation may not be much. Okay, so basically when it comes to evaluation of training or effectiveness of training, it is highly delicate step. Okay, so there has arisen a question among all types of enterprises about the productivity of training and development programs. Especially management wants to know whether it is being repaid for the expenses of various training programs. So it wants to know the degree to which their program accomplishes the objectives which they are being established. So many companies basically cite greater motivation, higher quality, changed attitude, and more open and honest communication as the evidence for training. Okay, if the training is successful, then 100% you have greater motivated employees, higher quality productivity, then changed attitude of the employees, open and honest communication between the employer and the employee, that happens, and it is a proof that training is really successful. Okay, so various authors and researchers have tried hard to find out the ways for evaluating training programs. So they have suggested many indicators for it. Okay, so effectiveness of the particular training program is visualized in the context of changed behavior of the participant after the training. So you should observe the changed behavior of the participant of the training. So however, behavior of the participant may also be affected by organizational constraints. Okay, so basically behavior of the participants may also be influenced by organizational constraints, and the organization may too be weak to use well trained participants properly. So certain times what happens is training becomes very successful. Okay, and the trainees who have attended the training program have understood everything and they know how to implement it. Okay, and if the same environment is not provided at the workplace, okay, or if the same facilities are not being provided at the workplace to implement whatever is being trained, okay, and the supervisor says you still go and implement the older ways, you have been trained, okay fine, keep it as a knowledge for yourself, but we'll just follow the older techniques, older procedures, or and all the things. So what happens is training doesn't become very successful in spite of very good trainer, in spite of trainees understanding everything, just because of the constraints which are there in the department and constraints which are there in the organization, training may not be successful. Okay, so all these are various things which are to be looked in. Okay, so well organized training program, a particular participant may not be able to learn much because his or her inherent weakness. Certain times what happens is training may not be successful because the participants itself are not very much having that capability to learn the things. Okay, so effectiveness of training determines all three partners, that is institution imparting formal training, and the participant and the work organization. Okay, so certain times training fail just because of the trainer also. If the trainer is not in a position to understand the audience, okay, our trainer is not in a position to study, a trainer has not studied prior to the training, who are the participants, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, what is their experience, okay, what is their skill level, everything, if it is not being observed properly, training becomes a failure. Okay, so here it is very very important for us to judge how much effective the training is. Okay, so type of training evaluation used by employers who took part in the survey include happy sheets. Okay, so basically that is post training questionnaire capturing the degree of satisfaction about the program. So basically what happens is once the training is being done, after the training program is over, they give a post training questionnaire to the employees to answer it, to understand the degree of satisfaction about the program. Okay, degree of satisfaction towards the trainer, degree of satisfaction towards the content of the training program, degree of satisfaction towards the delivery of the training program, degree of satisfaction towards understanding the training program, everything is to be understood. So that is one of the questionnaire which is being given, which is also being called as happy sheets. Then testimonies of the individuals and direct observation also can be made, through which you can evaluate the training. So testimonies are nothing but the statements being given by the trainees who complete the training program, about the trainer, about the program, about the implementation, about the motivation which they received, okay, and about their success factor. Okay, so apart from that, the direct observations also can be done. Okay, and then return on expected outcomes. Obviously when you expect something, there will be certain objectives of training. Okay, so it will not be quantitative objects, it will be qualitative objects which can be measured. So what happens is when the training is being given, and then the employees are put on the production on the floor, so they have to perform as to what expected level is being there by the trainer as well as by the organization. Okay, so that's what we say return on expected outcomes. Okay, then the impact on business key performance indicators, that is also very very important, through which you can evaluate the training. If it has given a great impact on business key performance indicators, okay, KPAs, okay, so that time you can say that training is very much successful. Then return on investment, obviously productivity should become very high, with good quality. And development metrics, that is psychometrics, or 360 degrees feedback. You need to get feedback from all the people. It may be suppliers, it may be customers, it may be government, it may be various other employees, it may be the union, it may be various political people. You have to get the right feedback from them, then only your training will be very successful. Then quantitative survey methods to assess behavioral changes. Okay, so there are various quantitative survey methods to assess the behavioral changes in the employees. So attitude of the employees should change, then only your training can be successful. Okay, then a particular model is being developed for evaluating the training programs, that is Kirkpatrick's training evaluation model. Okay, so this particular model basically goes in for evaluating the training program. Now how they go in for evaluating the training program? First thing is reaction. Okay, so they look into a reaction of the candidate. Okay, so they looked into the trainee satisfaction, what trainees thought and felt about the training program. Okay, so that reaction is being recorded. So that is a first level through which you can evaluate the training program. Then learning. Okay, the focus at the level of learning, that means the impact of knowledge and capability, how much knowledge the employees have gained or the trainees have gained, and how they have improved their capability, that is learning. Okay, was learning really successful? And then change in the behavior. Okay, so improvement in behavior and capability as a reflection of actual practice, that is also being judged in. And then results, obviously overall impact of training is based on the changes in the environment of the organization and changes in the business results as a consequence of performance of the trainees. And then common criticism against the Kirkpatrick model is that it cannot be used to determine cost benefit ratio of the training. Return on investment cannot be calculated. So you have just a qualitative analysis that yes, training is successful because reaction was good, learning was there, behavioral changes were there, as well as results are there, that is overall change in the environment and improve in the performance of the trainees. But it is not calculating what is the improvement in the performance of the trainees. That is one of the problem or criticism with the Kirkpatrick's model. Okay, so here evaluation of training, as I said, it becomes very important. Okay, uh, moving on to the next. Okay, relationship between training, development and performance. Okay, so here if you could see training and development, my dear students. Okay, what are the outcomes of this training and development activities which are held in the organization? One is updated skills. Okay, you update the skills for your employees, then you just bring in abilities of the employees, you give knowledge to the employees, changes in the work behavior, motivation of the employees, confidence, morale and others. Okay, these are the various outcomes of the employees. Then afterwards, performance of the organization, right? So here financial performance, return on investment, you get the perfect return on investment, increase in sales, increase in productivity, increase in return on equity. Okay, and others. So these are the various relationship between training, development and performance. So training is a base for the financial performance of the organization. Okay, then process of training in large organizations, basically how the large organizations operate. Okay, what is the process of training in large organization? So here, my dear students, first thing what happens is basically it determines the training needs and settings. As I said, first step for training is determining the need for training and setting the training objectives. Okay, so as we all know, there should be certain problem in the organization, then only the need for training arises, and that can be done by competency mapping or performance appraisal, my dear students, right? So what happens is they appraise the performance of the employees, they understand whether the employees are really performing well or they are underperforming, understand the reason why they are underperforming, and then identify the gap there and then try to give the training to the employees to improve their performance. Okay, apart from that, competency mapping is, my dear students, understanding the actual skill, knowledge and ability required for the job, and understanding what exactly already a person is working on that particular job, what is the skill, knowledge and ability that person possesses at present. So actual and expected. Okay, that is being checked in. So if you want the job to be done in a perfect way with having lot of productivity and giving the best performance, what is the knowledge, skill and ability expected? Okay, and what is the actual person who is working on the job, what knowledge, skill and ability he is already having. Okay, so that gap is being analyzed and then understood where it is lacking, whether that person is if really performing well. If he is performing well, well and good. Okay, then go for development of that particular person, put him into the higher category by giving him proper training. If he is not performing well, what is lacking? Is there a lack of knowledge? Is there a lack of skill? Or is there a lack of ability? That is being judged, and accordingly the gap is being filled by providing training to that particular, appropriate training to that particular employee. Okay, so that's what we say, analyzing or assessing the training needs is the first step of any training program. And based on the needs, you are going to set objectives, 2 to 3 objectives for that particular training program. And then you have to go in for designing the content of training. So this is what large organizations do. Once they analyze the needs, they put frame the objectives. Based on the objectives, they design the content of the training, and then they go for selection of training methods. Okay, so what there are various training methods. They go in for selection of training methods. Okay, and then preparation training methods, as I've already explained, on the job and off the job. Then preparation of training, right? Then they, after selecting the method, they go in for preparation of training, that is choosing the trainer, who would be the trainer, choosing the trainees, who would be the people who would be attending the training program. And then finally they go in for conducting the training program, and then examining the trainee's job. Okay, and then follow up. This is what large organizations do. Okay, so this is moving on to the next, competency mapping. As I said, competency mapping is nothing but a process of identifying key competencies for an organization or a job, and to incorporate those competencies throughout various processes such as recruitment, job evaluation, training of the organization. Okay, so it may be worth mentioning here that competency is defined as a behavior that than a skill or an ability. Okay, so method of competency mapping, you have assessment centers, right? So most of the companies will be having assessment centers wherein there will be experts who will be observing the behavior of the employees, experts who will be observing the performance of the employees. Okay, and then they have the chart being prepared for each employee, and they put forth their strengths and weaknesses, whatever are there, their observations, everything is being put forth. That is assessment center. Then you have critical incident techniques, that is unstructured approach, moderate structured approach. Okay, so various critical incidents are being studied. Critical incidents are something, some incidents which do not happen regularly. Okay, so a fire breakout in the organization. Okay, or maybe some accidents in the organization, or maybe handling a very critical customers. Okay, those are very critical incidents, right? The unstructured approach and moderate structured approach will be there in critical incident. Then interviewing techniques, questionnaire, psychometric test, aptitude test, achievement test, all these are various methods through which competency mapping can be done. Okay, then the future of training. Future of training, entirely it is technology driven training. Okay, so when you speak about the future of training, what is the future of training? Okay, so basically when we look into various other aspects, fine. So till here, my dear students, any questions are there? Am I going too fast? Do you have any questions? Any questions, students? Yeah, students, any question till here?
No, ma'am.
Am I going too fast? Am I going too fast, students?
No, ma'am.
Okay, great. Now, when you speak about future of training, okay, so future of training entirely is based on technology-driven training. Okay, so it is more about technology right now. Okay, because technology is gaining too much of importance, right? So what happens is you have n number of technologies, n number of softwares which are being used for training the employees. Okay, that is what we say, technology-driven training. And then self directed learning. Okay, so here employees are ought to choose which type of training they want to go for. They should understand their strengths and weaknesses. They should look into what exactly would be they should look into what exactly they would be trained on. Okay, they should understand what are their career objectives. They should be self motivated. That's what is expected basically in future of training. Employer will not force any employee to go for training. They have to be self directed learning. And then training to aid virtual work arrangements, that is also very very important. Okay, so virtual work arrangements, right? Right now it is virtual work arrangements, working from home, right? So these all arrangements are being made. So how are you going to train the people or employees of your organization when they are virtually set up in different localities, different countries, and what are the different aids? That is one of the future of training. Then training partnership. So training partnership takes place with various institutes, okay, various other organizations, wherein they go in for training their employees based on certain specific skills and knowledge. Okay, these are the various future of training when we speak about, right? So learning and development, crystal gazing into the future. So currently the workplace is wrought with changes in terms of technology. A lot of changes are there in terms of technology, connectivity, workforce capabilities, the way data is being stored, processed, okay, and along with AI, artificial intelligence, okay, then multilanguaging and financial, and sorry, and finally the COVID pandemic that has accelerated all these individual elements, okay. So these are the various changes which have been taken place into consideration, okay. So basically, there was a conversation state by Aditya Koili, the CHRO of Clicks Capital. Okay, Shrikant Lonikar, CHRO and the director on the board of Pranod Richard India. Okay, the Avdesh Dikshit and all. So all these learned people, what they did is they went into a panel discussion, right? So panel began adaptee, noting that current day workplace is wrought with changes in terms of technology, as I said, as well as connectivity, okay, and the workplace capabilities, the way data is being stored, processed, okay, because of this COVID pandemic, basically, okay. And it was established at the outset that organizations cannot hope to buy talent and must focus on building talent for the future. Now that is very much required. So they have to build talent for the future. So commenting on the changes witnessed, Avdesh Dikshit, okay, mm, who is basically Avdesh Dikshit, who is basically the CHRO of Equity Knowledge Partners. Okay, so what he said is he offered that new hybrid workplaces will impact learning significantly. Okay, so he notes that while technical skills may not be relatively altered by e-learning, soft skills will become harder to acquire. Okay, and develop in a context where employees are not physically collaborating with one another. So soft skills becomes very learning becomes very difficult when the employees are not physically collaborating with one another, or even seeing each other. Okay, so that learning becomes very difficult. That is what he quoted. So his answer to tackling this is to tap into the problem at the source. Okay, so to ensure leadership is committed to learning regardless of situations they face, he feels once an intention of learning cascades from the learning leadership positions, the tools and training modules will fall in place. Okay, so he adds leadership should encourage push and pull mechanism, wherein pull would be to create experience based learning. Okay, that is very very important. You pull your employees to learn, okay, the content that interest employees, and push would be encouraging employees to learn through financial rewards and otherwise. Okay, so this is what they came out with. So offering insights to on training in the public sector banks, Seema Singh, okay, who is the CHR of Indian Post Payments Bank. Okay, so Seema Singh answered that she had to train not just officers, master trainers, but also the rural postman and customers to adopt digitization during the pandemic. Okay, so she remarked that she had to look towards enabling the attitudinal change. Okay, from the traditional roles to becoming new age bankers across the countries. Now if you could see, lot of things have been changed. Okay, so you have to be new aged bankers here, basically into banking environments. Okay, so Shrikant Lonikar, uh, basically who is a CHRO and director of board on Pranod Richard India. Okay, so he's said that perspective of learning and inspiring an attitudinal shift was rooted in kindness and compassion. So he remarked that once a degree of selflessness permeated, then the individual opens up to learn. Okay, so he adds that his organization focuses on placing trust and following a 70-20-10 model where 10% of the learning happens in classroom settings, 20% of the 20% through shadowing and projects. Okay, and 70% on individual experiences. That is what he looked into. So 70% on individual experiences, 10% classroom learning, and 20% based on the projects. Okay. So he believes that if people constantly ask questions, how did my time add to my experience and how it has changed me, learning will be more self motivated. So this is what basically the panel looked into. Okay. So basically the panel primarily looked into learning not from technological aspect but from the human perspective. Okay. So human needs are being considered here. And on that road, they agreed upon encouraging the feeling of empowerment through learning. Okay, which can take you a long way of getting employee excited and passionate about learning. So Avdesh added that learning should be voluntary and HR should ensure the ease of learning. Then a board change or board range of learning materials and allow employees to learn it at their own pace. Okay, so that's what is the future of learning and development. Okay, which has a just having a crystallized gazing on the future, that is world of learning. So learning is going to happen in all the places, and learning will be self directed. Okay, and you have to motivate your employees to direct themselves towards learning, become passionate towards learning. Okay, and then you have to see to it that employees learn virtually wherever they are at their own pace. They can go in for learning, but learning is very very important function in an organization. So that's what we say, future of training and learning. Okay, so process of training and techniques we'll be looking into the next class, students. Till here, any questions, students? Any questions you want to ask? Someshri, Pooja, Prachi, Neminath, Purnima, Pooja, Kirti, Priya, any questions you want to ask? Any doubts, any questions you want to ask? Yes, students, you want to ask any
No,
question?
ma'am.
Okay,
No, ma'am.
I hope things are very much understood.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, right. So we'll be looking into the next session, next level, that is the last part, that is training techniques, and then finally we'll be going on for selection. Okay, so which is a very small part of this particular module, and then we'll end with our module 2. Okay, so once we end with the module 2, I'll be sending the notes to you all, right? So thank you very much, students.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.